quiet on the set. And your name is, sir?
My name is Roderick Reed. I'm the brother of Rodney Reed in Encino, Texas death row.
Why is he on death row, sir?
He's on death row. He was accused of the rape and murder of Stacy Stites, a 19-year-old white female out of Bastrop, Texas. She was engaged with a Giddings police officer at the time.
And how did he get involved in all of this if she was engaged with this police officer?
Well, she was seeing my brother behind his back. My brother knew that they were in a relationship and they were seeing each other. And he found Jimmy Fennell, the Giddings police officer, found out about it and he threatened to kill my brother.
Ooh.
But lo and behold, he ended up taking the life of Stacy Stites and setting my brother up for the crime.
How do we know that is what happened?
How do we know that's what happened? Because facts state that the last known place Stacy was their apartment together, and she was supposed to have left her apartment at 3-something that morning to go to work. She worked at HEB, which is a supermarket there in Texas, and she left at 3 o'clock and didn't show up for work. And forensics in medical science says she was dead well before 12 midnight. According to Jimmy Fennell's own testimony, he and her had ate dinner that night, got in bed. She woke him up around 2 o'clock, got dressed, got ready, and left to go to work. But the forensics and the medical science says she was dead long before 12 o'clock. So that puts her with Jimmy Fennell at their home at the time she was killed. That's how we know that. That is the medical evidence that we're trying to get admitted into court, okay, at this May 17th evidentiary hearing. That has not been admitted. There's DNA testing that has been done that has not been admitted into it. There's DNA testing that has not been done on the murder weapon itself. When have you ever heard of a person being on death row and they do not DNA test the murder weapon? So there's a lot to this case. There's other police officers' involvement in this case. Their DNA was found at the crime scene, mixed, intertwined with the victim's DNA at the crime scene.
Hold up just 1 minute.
Here doing an interview, so we're going live, so y'all are with us.
Now, you're saying that these people didn't test any of those machines, any of the weapons, anything?
The DNA testing was never done on the murder weapon itself. The murder weapon was a belt that was found that was supposedly used to strangle Stacy Stites. That was never been DNA tested. And when have you ever heard of a person being on death row and the murder weapon has not been tested? So that's a big thing in the case. The last known place Stacy Stites was known to be was her apartment. The investigation was botched because they never even searched the apartment, never even checked the apartment, okay? The vehicle that Stacy Stites was driving that night is part of a crime scene. They released that vehicle back to Jimmy Fennell and he sold it the very next day. That was supposed to be held and it's supposed to be combed through with a fine-tooth comb, you know what I mean? But that was never done. So we're actually, as I stated, you know, there's been so much botched investigation on this there. They didn't handle it right. Police and criminal conduct and everything else going on in this case.
If all of this is going on, then how is it that you are involved in this with an organization?
Well,
and which is that? I mean, what organization is that?
What organization is? Right now, I'm moving under our own steam. Reed Justice Initiative is an organization in which I started to get justice for my brother. Okay, we were working with the campaign to end the death penalty there in Texas, but that chapter dissolved. So we came up with Reed Justice Initiative, and we've been working hard to just raise awareness about my brother's case and about the injustice that's in the justice system there in Texas, the corruption that goes on. And still to this day, they're handling people any kind of way that they choose fit. They're not going according to the law. They're not, you know what I mean?
When this is brought to court, how is it that you're going to be able to have an attorney represent him if the organization dissolved out in Texas or wherever it was?
Well, the Innocence Project out of New York represents my brother.
Good.
The Innocence Project out of New York with Barry Sheck and all them. George Kendall is my brother's lead attorney on this, and he has a host of attorneys. He has like 10 different attorneys from the Innocence Project that's working on this. And they have been working hard. They have done a lot of investigation and stuff, and they have found witnesses and more evidence that proves my brother's innocence. And that is the purpose of this hearing in May, is to get all that admitted.
Now,
all that evidence admitted into court, so we can finally have justice, not just for my brother Rodney, but also for Stacey Stites as well.
now you're saying basically that these people who were with the police department, they were doing things that weren't correctly done, correct?
Yes, they botched the investigation right out of the gate. They've been denying every avenue that we take, everything the Innocent Project's put forward, they get it denied. You know, we have not been able to admit nothing. You know, and the way I see it, you know, if a person's life is on the line, all avenues should be went down thoroughly. It should be all exhausted, but you don't take a life and the truth is out there, and you know that person has a possibility of innocence. That's you don't do that.
Why is it that you think they really want to kill your brother? Is there somebody else out there, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other people involved in this who may have assisted in the killing?
Well, yeah, there are other police officers, as I stated. Their DNA was found at the crime scene. Ed Samela, he was a Bastrop lead detective. His DNA was found at the crime scene. And David Hall, he was a Bastrop police officer. His DNA was found at the crime scene. But the courts, they don't know that. You know, the jury did not know that at the time they convicted my brother, okay? And also, there was another police officer, retired police officer out of Giddings. I can't recall his name at this time, it slips my mind, but he was doing his own independent investigation on my brother's case, and he ended up dead. Now, he was murdered. This police officer was murdered. And also, Ed Samela, whose DNA was found at the crime scene, he was murdered as well. But they say it was suicide. Now, you got 2 police officers that's dead that has, you know, been looking into the Rodney Reed case and that's been involved in this.
And they say it's suicide?
Yes, they're claiming it's suicide. Ed Samela's family, they don't believe it was suicide. Anybody that knew Ed don't believe it was suicide. There's so much going on in this case, and we're trying to get to the bottom of that because we want justice for them as well. We want justice for everybody. This is not just about Rodney. It's going much bigger than Rodney. But my goal is to bring my brother home and try to get justice for everybody out there that's involved or not involved. You, me, and everybody else. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and that's what we're trying to do.
Then there may be as many as 3 or 4 people dead behind this?
Yes. Yes. And that is why, you know, and this stems all the way back up to the Attorney General's office. They assigned that special prosecutor, Lisa Tanner, to come to Bastrop and prosecute this case, and she took her investigator, Missy Wolf, who is now her partner. They're married now. Anyway, they withheld evidence. They've done so much stuff, but yet that has not come to light yet. You know, there's so much wrong in this case. There's so much people don't know about this case. You know, and that's why we're trying at every chance to tell the story, to get my brother's story out there, because it's a must that we do so. It's just a must.
When you say that this case has been going on, How long has this been going on?
This has been going on. My brother's been convicted. He's been on death row down there for 23 years.
23 years?
23 years for a crime he did not commit. He's been down for 23 years, and we've been fighting hard for 23 years. I was 28 years old when my brother was convicted. I will be 52 in a couple of months. So that's how long it's been going on. And that's how long we've been fighting. And we're not going to stop. We're not going to quit until we get justice, until we prove that Jimmy Fennell is the murderer, until we get justice. You know, my brother, it's not going to stop. The end.
When you say it won't stop, what types of things do you see in the future for this case? Because there's some present things that it seems like you're doing that are being done very well. But what's going to happen for the future? Was there a PCRC hearing for him? I forget what that means, but Mamiya had one of those. Was there another hearing in between his death sentence hearing?
No, there was not.
A post-conviction hearing of any sort?
No, there was not.
No review?
We had, my brother had one hearing in Bastrop, and he had 2 court-appointed lawyers, and they had less than a few months to prepare for a capital murder case, which is unheard of. There was, you know, that's number one. See, that goes to show the intention of the prosecutors. They only gave them a few months to prepare for a capital murder case when it takes a year or so to do your job. They had like 3 months to get ready for a case. They didn't extend them any time. So that goes to show you their intentions of trying to set my brother up for this murder and cover up the true crime that they committed.
The reasons why the organization dissolved out in Texas, what were they?
Well, the campaign to end the death penalty is a chapter. They were there to help advocate to abolish the death penalty. And I guess it was a funding issue or something like that. I'm not sure why they dissolved, but they have been very helpful in a lot of cases in Texas and just getting justice for a lot of people. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And advocating for it.
Have any of their people been threatened?
No.
Has anyone that you know of other than these people that have died, has anyone else been threatened around this case that you know of?
Well, you know, the family, we were threatened in the beginning of this in so many different ways. We were blackballed. We couldn't get a job in Bastrop, in our town where we're from. If you had my last name, you couldn't get a job. You couldn't do nothing. You couldn't even, like me, I couldn't even drive my car 2 or 3 blocks without getting pulled over and harassed. It came to the point to where I had to walk everywhere I go. So it's, you know, but over time, even the churches in our community would not back us. Nobody would stand with us in the beginning of this. But I'm gonna tell you how good God is, because over time, He brought people like the campaign to end the death penalty into our lives. And as of now, where we sit now, after all those years, after 20-some years, we have gotten support from all around the world. We have gotten faith leaders from all around the world. Over 500,000 faith leaders themselves have signed a petition to save my brother. There's been over 5 million signatures around the world that has signed a petition to save my brother. Kim Kardashian has got into it to help save my brother. Dr. Phil did 2 shows on this. I did 2 shows with Dr. Phil, me and my mom, to save my brother. There's been countless of people, Rihanna, Meek Mill, people all over that has been standing up and coming out and saying the injustice. There has been we have had bipartisan support for Democrats and Republicans saying they see the injustice in the Rodney Reed case. We have had an amicus letter written by active and retired police officers talking about the injustice in my brother's case, which has never been done before. We have done a lot of things in this case. We have made history. We've crossed hurdles that have not been crossed in Texas. But we still have a long way to go because my brother is still locked up. And the truth is not been revealed unto the public as to my brother's innocence. And the true killer is still on the streets. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get justice for Stacey Stites, Rodney Reed, and you and me and everybody else that's involved.
You mentioned that the Attorney General in your state, Texas, I take it, was involved in this case.
They assigned a special prosecutor to go down and handle this case because it was a cop's fiance, and at that time George Bush was the governor. That's before he became president. Okay, and this goes high up. There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of corruption involved. There's a lot of lying and stuff that's going on, but they don't want all that to come out. They want to try to put my brother to death to cover up their own crimes, because they committed crimes when they put my brother there on death row. They broke the law when they put my brother on death row, and they're going to have to answer for that, and that is the reason why they deny everything that we do, every turn we get. That is the reason they do this.
What is the reasoning from your end of it that you think that they had the young lady killed?
The reasoning is, it was just, at the time, let me explain to you. Jimmy Fennell was a police officer. That was his fiancée. And I think the good old boy system, they were just trying to help him out because I guess he got caught in a fit of rage and murdered at home. They're trying to help him out. But they did not know the content or the nature of his character, because later on, come to find out, that same officer was later convicted of raping and abducting a girl while on duty as a police officer. Did 10 years in prison behind it. Did 10 years in prison behind it. And so they stuck their foot in their so-called back area when they helped him out. Did not know his true nature. But his true colors came out later, but they're too far in to pull out. They are too far invested. So now they have to stick to their guns. And I know right now they're regretting everything they did to help this man, because they didn't know he's a murderer, he's a rapist, and everything else, and he was supposed to be there to protect and serve, but all he was doing was killing and raping.
And he did 10 years in prison.
He did 10 years in prison. He just got out of prison a little over a year ago. And so a lot of people don't know that. You know, there's so much that's going on in this case. It is crazy, but my brother still sits on death row. Now you got this man who drew the money out of his bank account, Jimmy Fennell, who sold the vehicle the very next day to hide evidence and all this kind of stuff. Now he goes to prison for raping and abducting the girl. Now you look at that. You add that up and tell me what you come up with. And I'm not asking nobody to believe me, but believe the facts. Believe the evidence. Believe what it shows. Don't listen to me. Look at the evidence for yourself. And you'll come to the same conclusion. Rodney Reed is innocent. He has been set up. He has been framed. And that is why I'm here in Philadelphia. That's why at every turn, if there's a venue, a chance for me to get my brother's story out, I'm going to do it. I started out when I was 28 years old. I'll give it. If I'm 85, I'm going to fight until we get justice for us all.
Have you ever been in the military?
No, sir, I have not. My dad was a retired military.
He's still alive?
My dad passed away. My dad lived long enough. Actually, yesterday was the day his death 5 years ago. But he lived long enough to see my brother get that first state. He lived long enough to see that. You know, because my brother, they were scheduled to put him to death. And a month after he got that stay, my dad passed away.
He decided to hang around for a reason.
Excuse me?
He decided to hang around for a reason. Yeah. Your father did.
Yes.
This is deep.
So, you know.
What are you going to do if they do allow him to come home?
I'm going to continue to fight to abolish the death penalty, because now I see the need in it. You know what I mean? I see the people that has been affected by it. I have been affected by it. My family has been affected by it. We're not whole. And I know what it does to a family, to their spiritual mind, physical health, to their emotional well-being. I know the effects that it plays out, and I am here to help abolish that death penalty, because nobody deserves to be put to death. Everybody deserves either a chance at proving their innocence or a chance at redemption, to make a change in life. God brought us here, and he's the only one that should be able to take us out. Murder is murder. I don't care who does it or where they do it at, it's still murder, and it's not right.
You were against the death penalty?
I am against the death penalty.
You were so before your brother got?
I was so before my brother, yes.
So you are a Stewart sort of fighter out here trying to see what they can do about things then?
Yes, sir. I'm doing all that I can do, and I'm going to let God do the rest. That's all I can do. He was put on my heart to get out here and just try to, you know, make a change for our people. The way the system is, you know, many people say the justice system is, you know, broken or anything. I'm here to tell you it's not. It was designed to do just what it's doing, to oppress and hold us down. It is working just fine because that's the way they designed it. And people miss that. See, it needs to be fully dismantled and re-brought up because it was there to oppress people.
And you think that you could change that?
I'm going to do all that I can. I'm going to do all that I can. Because at the end of the day, if I don't do it, I got kids, I got grandkids, I got people. I am a child of God. I got brothers and sisters all over this world. And justice denied for one is justice denied for each and every one of us. And I will not stand back, and I won't have it. I won't tolerate that. You know, if I can do something about it. And God didn't give me much, but he gave me a voice. He gave me a mind, and I'm going to use it to the best of my ability.
You know, this is interesting. What it sounds like to me is that somebody really needs to get to, has anyone contacted the Justice Department at the level of the United States Attorney General? I think there's a Justice Department head there.
In Pennsylvania, I spoke outside of the Justice Department. We have the Innocence Project, we have went through all things. I spoke outside the Supreme Court. I've been all over, from New York to California, telling the story. And then, like I say, every venue, every chance I get, I do what needs to be done or what I can do. And I you know, we've spoken to so many different people, so many different avenues over these last 23 years. And I've done so many different interviews, I've lost count. So many different TV shows, I've lost count. But one thing and two things for sure is, there is no quit in me. There will be no quit in me. I am in this fight for life. I'm going to bring my brother home, God willing, and I will continue to fight to abolish the death penalty. And when that's done, then I'll go and I'll fight to change the system from with, you know.
You know, is there an international connection to this? Has the United Nations section been brought into this?
Yes, we have international support. We did go to the, I can't think of the name of it, but yes, we have been everywhere and done just about everything that you can name of to get the truth out. And you know, and to no avail, as I say right now, my brother still sits on death row as we do this interview right now. I haven't seen my brother in over a year now because of this COVID situation. But when I go back from here, I go back to Texas, Tuesday will be the first day I get to see him in a long time. So I'm looking forward to going back home, get myself together, and going down there and visit my brother. You know, so I will be going Tuesday to see him.
Are you going to do anything, say, to make sure that in the future no one inside of your family is sort of threatened? Has there been any moves so that they would stop that? And if anybody came to say that this is all a lie and started threatening your family, has there been anybody who will back you up on not being threatened at this point?
Right now we have the support of a lot of people. Bastrop Police Department, and you know what I mean, they have been showing us respect. They have been, you know,
the police department.
I have had meetings with the mayor and the chief of police in Bastrop. They spoke to me and my mom. So so a lot of people know the truth, but the truth hasn't entered into the courtroom yet. You know what I mean? The truth is still out there on the streets. We're trying to get the truth in that courtroom. We're trying to get justice in that courtroom. Now, you know, in public opinion, Rodney Reed should have been free 23 years ago. You know what I mean? But it's a matter of getting all this new evidence inside that courtroom, getting it admitted, and then giving us a chance at a fair trial. That's all we've ever asked for. And from day one, give us a fair trial. They didn't give us a fair trial in the beginning. It was an all-white jury. My brother didn't have nobody, no all-white jury, all elderly. Man, he had court-appointed lawyers. They had less than 3 months to prepare. You know, they had witnesses. They didn't call none of my brother's witnesses, his alibi witnesses. There was evidence that was not tested. The murder weapon was not tested. How is that a fair trial? You know, we did not get justice out of the gate. It was a Jim Crow trial out of the gate.
And so, they didn't call his witnesses?
We didn't hear none of his witnesses were called. They placed my mother on a gag order. She should have been a witness. The prosecution called her as a potential witness and put her on the gag order. She should have been a witness for my brother. She knows about Stacy Sykes and Rodney's relationship. I knew about it. I was not called. None of Rodney's witnesses were called to prove that they were in a consensual relationship. This goes so deep. Like I say, it has been from day one, we've been trying to get justice. And it's been 24 years now, and hey, and it seems like it hasn't changed. The only thing that's really changed is the support of the people. Now we have churches that are involved. Now we have people all over the world that are involved. Now we have, you know, and God is good. Because in the beginning we didn't have none of that. And so with all that support out there and people doing all that they can, that gives us that much more strength and encouragement to keep pushing, to keep fighting. You know, and I thank people for that.
Well, I must say, this has been an interesting session. Sir, we must keep in contact with you. If you can, make sure that they can get a hold of whatever it is that we're going to be sending you back. You'll be able to have people replay it, and we're going to put it up on our episodes at Polemics, Journal of the Working Class Struggle. And this is going to be a very, very, very tight piece of work that we really have to get into for this.
Okay.
We're going to have to do this, definitely.
Well, I appreciate y'all for taking the time out to do this and to air my brother's story, because at the end of the day, like I said, it affects all of us. It's not just my family, it affects everybody. And so this is a must that we continue to do what we need to do in order to get to where we need to be. And that's, you know, treated with respect, equality, you know what I mean? Justice for all, no matter your race, religion, sexuality, creed, justice for all. And that is what we need.
Excellent. I want to thank you again for Polemics, Journal of the Working Class Struggle, and all of our all-volunteer collective members for giving us this information. And we will see what we can do in terms of moving it around here in the city and cross over into Jersey and some other places.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming out, and I look forward to conversing with you again.
That will happen, sir.
Yes, sir.
Over and out.
Over and out. Well, that is...
So it's the York Revolution has a rep with the York and Lancaster, right? Joe Hill and Bill Haywood, and you know, Joe Hill's like last sort of will and testament. And so I thought, like, why not? It wouldn't be that hard to just make those lines into the song. And so this has those in there.
Sure.
We got deportees, we fed you all for 1,000 years. And then I tried to add to the house I live in, that's still in progress. And then the next one to happen, this land is your land. That one needs, you know, the problem with that song, it's a great song, but it's a little settler colonial, right? Yeah. It could use it's sort of a lyric that, or a song with lyrics that, you know, ignores that there are indigenous people in this land, right? So I feel like it could use some update.
And then we have like, this one's just like a general kind of pamphlet about capitalism and socialism and what we're about. And then this one is like kind of like a modern analysis.
Like
yeah.
gig workers and stuff,
Right.
how that fits into Marxism.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah.
How was the parade? So it's the York Revolution has a rep with the York and Lancaster, right?